What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I'm going to give you a very quick summary on where Lucid might be going in the short term, what the data behind the scenes is all saying, and some latest kind of news that's been coming out potentially. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So as of right now, overall on the week, it was fairly positive. And a lot of people might be like, well, why aren't we at $8.50? Well, that's not very realistic. And technically it did attempt to get there, but because of no real justification for it to go outside the Bollinger Band, there's not a really good amount of momentum. So this is why it did kind of consolidate a little bit. Very healthy for Lucid on the technical stance. And beside that though, stochastic is currently at 78. So it did go down a little bit from its highs around 92, but still generally speaking it is considered a little bit more overbought and potentially could consolidate a little bit more. But keep in mind it's been sitting at a substantial discount for a very long time. Number of retail investors for the most part have been maintaining themselves, as you can tell based on the momentum indicator. RSI is currently at 50. It's fairly neutral in that regard, so I do anticipate a little bit more of a kind of uptrend this week because of the broad economic data that's been coming out. Very positive, and this week is going to be a lot more consumer related as well, so it's definitely something to watch for. But keep in mind that 50-day moving average and that Bollinger Band are going to be kind of converging, so it's going to be a little bit more of a very heavy resistance that Lucid does in fact need to get over. So good piece of news from the economic standpoint is very much needed. Without that though, I do anticipate it's just going to bounce off of that and probably head exactly where it is as far as the end of the week. But if you are actually looking at a lot of the other data as well, it does insinuate that there is some optimism, at least to break past that. So I'm going to give you a good breakdown. So starting looking at the options. So this is all the intraday options from Friday. For the most part, a little bit more mixed, but leaning towards a lot more calls being purchased. Of course, that does mean that a little bit more upside potential is assumed. And if you do look at a lot of the most active chains based on the volume, it does look like around $8.0950 is more so where it might be heading to. Of course, I could be wrong based on that. I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. And theoretically, all this volume right here based on options doesn't necessarily move the price of Lucid. It's just a little bit more of a sentiment. Of course, if it gets close to the strike price, there could be a little bit more gamma squeezes, but that's for another video. And as far as this, so this is all the dark pool transactions for Lucid. And there was some pretty big ones today. So 1.64 million, 2.09 million. And as far as, I'll just give you a quick summary on the secondary market on some of the transactions that have been purchased. So there was one for 1.1 million, 1.64 million, 8.28 million, and 2.16 million. And keep in mind, this exchange is very much for retail investors. That's what retail investors do trade on, and anything over 100,000 is listed here. So which in general is fairly not normal. So once again, I'll give you a good representation of what I mean by that. So for instance, right here, this is a typical day. So you get one large one, and that's basically it, a one-off. But for instance, today or from Friday, depending on when you guys are watching this, there was about 4. So maybe someone does know something is coming, very much so. That's usually the case in a lot of situations, but the only news that did in fact come out, which is not really news, but Lucid did send out an email offering $7,500 for a discount in regards to leasing. So I did a very in-depth video on this and a comparison video on this as well, and that is going to be on my other channel, so Financial Journey. I have a link to that in the description below. Highly recommend you guys going over this. This channel is just a little bit more for technicals and things like that. But when it comes down to shorts, I'll give you a quick update on shorts because surprisingly, it's really just doesn't make sense. So short score is currently 91. Utilization is 96.66. So that is interesting that it broke off of that 100% mark. $1.29 billion worth of shorts out there. So that definitely is something to really watch for. And shorts, in fact, on Friday did increase 188.09 thousand shares, bringing the grand total to almost 27%. So this is why I'm saying, like, it does make sense behind the scenes that there's a lot of other companies that, for instance, don't produce absolutely anything, but their short interest for the most part is 10%. Just doesn't add up in the grand scheme of things. But again, this is where a lot of people do like to talk on how Lucid is overdue for a value rally, and of course with that value rally could prompt a squeeze. And cost to borrow as well is at the average, I should say, is 57.2. So in general, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on that. I do, like I said, anticipate just a broad market rally, or at least a momentum to go up. I don't know if it'll have enough to break past that 50-day moving average, which of course Lucid has always had a lot of difficulty with. I think over the last maybe year, it's only broken past it once here, and then during this big rally here. So it's definitely had a lot of issues in regards to that. But still, who knows? It's been at a discount for a while, and it might be time for a third run at it. So let me know your thoughts on all of that. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend thus far. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. If you do like my Lucid content and want to support the channel, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. And with that said, let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.